Welcome back to Tea with the OT. I'm your host, Rebecca Maddie. I am an occupational therapist specializing in pediatrics with passions in sensory processing and emotional regulation. Each episode of Tea with the OT is packed with information from the occupational therapy perspective and is focused on helping you as caregivers support your children in whatever way you can and give resources and ideas that you can potentially integrate into your daily routines and into your home to just make things a little bit easier on you. And so today what we are diving into is a topic that I'm sure plenty of people, if you have had occupational therapy or some other service related to your child's abilities, then you are familiar with the evaluation. And you have likely sat through a evaluation report or had to sit with an evaluation report that was plenty of pages long and try to decipher what that data meant and what those numbers were indicating, and the long jargon-filled paragraphs that you had to kind of decipher because the evaluation reports are worded in a specific way to be able to, for providers to be able to communicate with insurance companies or other payers, and all of the information that's in there is definitely necessary. However, it can create quite the cloud of confusion and overwhelm when we're faced with these 10 to 20 page reports. So today I want to show you how that mountain of paperwork can potentially be turned into just a one-page cheat sheet or a one-page glance at what your treatment is going to look like with that provider. And I'm going to kind of help you potentially be able to decipher what the different things that a report might have in it and how to pull the information that is actually really pertinent to you in your home and supporting your child. So I understand that while these long reports are necessary for insurance, it can be not so necessary or not so great for trying to make actionable steps in our daily life. So whenever a child starts therapy or has a new team member join their team, having something like this at a glance sheet, it can be really helpful for you to say, here are the things that we're clearly working on, here's what we've done in the past, and here's where we're going next. So the 4 things that you should really be able to pull out of an evaluation report, or as the primary caregiver, be able to know about your child, is first their strengths. So what are the things that make your child awesome? What do they bring to the table that is going to support them in moving forward in these goals? And what makes them smile? We lead with the good stuff because this is what we can leverage in therapy, in treatment, to be able to help your child make the greatest gains possible. The next up, we want to think about what are the things that support your child's success. So what do they need in their environment or in their routines to help them be the most successful? So what are 2 to 3 things that your child needs to stay regulated that you know about? Maybe it's a first then board, maybe it's a visual schedule or a heavy blanket. So these are 2 things that you want to have top of mind. Next up, what are the big 3 goals that you are working on with this provider that you actually care about making progress in over the next few months? Not necessarily increasing range of motion. That's, while that might be the goal that's written in the evaluation report, you know that tied to function, I want my child to be able to play on the playground with other kids. And in able to be able to do that, they have to be able to reach and climb. And then what is one thing, the 4th piece of this at a glance sheet is what is the next step that I need to be taking at home or at school in order to support the progress in one or more of these goals. So I'm giving you permission now to not only think about this as these 4 things as you're reading through this evaluation report, but also talk to your provider about each of these 4 things and ask them, can you help me pull these pieces out of this evaluation and help me build this kind of at a glance sheet in order to best understand my client or my child's goals and where treatment is going to be going for them. And what I want you to do is grab your highlighter, grab that evaluation report if you have it, and find just one strength and one goal that feels the most important to you, and write those things down where you and your child can see it every day. And that will help keep them at the top of mind and help you recall what are the things that we are bringing to the table and where are we going to be making progress over the next few months. So you're going to want to sit down with that highlighter and find those things, but then you're going to want to dive deeper when you have some time to think about each of those pieces. The other thing that I recommend while you are going through that report is to circle or underline areas that you need further defined. What does this word mean? What does this data point mean? And how is it tied to my child's function? Is it something we need to pay attention to, or is it just something that is a snapshot of what happened during that evaluation that day? Write down the questions that come up immediately so that you can feel less overwhelmed when it is time to go through that evaluation report with your provider. And if you have this one sheet started before you go in for your next appointment, it is more than appropriate to then ask for guidance in picking out those other things. So if you have your child's strengths and the supports you know they need so far written down, you can take with you the evaluation report, ask the provider, can you help me tie these goals to their daily function and how this is going to improve what our day-to-day looks like. It is more than appropriate to ask those questions because that is where you're going functionally, okay? And so take the time. I know that reading these reports can feel overwhelming, but if we have actions that we can take while we're reading it, that can help make it feel more like a task and less like just an information dump and trying to figure out and sort through all this stuff, some of which we may not even need to hold on to at this point, but is important down the road. So what I am offering you today is a template that you can use to help yourself walk through these evaluation reports. So my call to action for you today is to go ahead and download that template and take a look. If it makes sense for you to use, go ahead and print it off. Or if there's one that you can create that feels more aligned with how you operate and how you might process the information in that eval report, use this just as an inspiration to create something of your own that makes more sense for you and your family. So at the end of the day, you are the CEO of your child's treatment. You are part of the team, and you are the one that is carrying over these treatment plans, these protocols. You're carrying them over outside of the therapy session. And I more than I can count the number of times that I told parents that the change does not happen in the 1 hour therapy where I am pushing a child to their limits, I am seeing where the limits are, and I am seeing where we can go next. That's not where the change happens. The change happens in the little changes that our child and we are facing every day, or the ones we make every day. The little adjustments that we are making to our own behavior and the way that we're responding to our children. And so it's important for you to be clear on what those goals are and how they are addressing your child's function, okay? And so you are just as important as every other person on your child's care team to be able to help them make progress in those goals. So I would love to hear from you, what is one word or phrase or something you've heard over and over again that you actually whether it be during treatment or during an evaluation that you kept hearing and you were like, wait, what? What do you mean when you say vestibular input? And were you a little too nervous to ask what that meant because they were using it so naturally that it felt like, well, I should probably know what this means? But tell me below in the comments, what's one thing or one word or phrase that kept coming up in your own care that you were like, I don't know what that actually means, and I'm just going to look it up later on Google. So tell me what that is. I love to hear it. Let's figure these things out together. I'm here for your support. And like I said, please take a moment and download that template if you have an eval coming up or you have a past evaluation that's even months old. Use this as an exercise to go through and make sure you are clear on what action has been taken and where the progress is that your child has made, because recognizing even the smallest amounts of progress is going to make us feel even more motivated to keep addressing the things that we want to see change within our family context. Okay? I am so appreciative of you joining me today on Tea with the OT, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day.